Hey threadheads, Darren here. Welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. Today we're going to be tying up this really quick and easy pattern. I'm sure if you've been fly fishing for any number of years or perhaps even months, you've heard of the Squirmy Wormie. This is a variation. We're just going to call this the Squirmy Worm because we've only got one piece of squirm on here. So I tied this up in a number of different colors: reds, browns, tans, greens, and even a couple in black. Today we're going to be tying a green one. So just want to keep in mind that you're going to be changing the colors just to match the color of the squirm for the different variations you tie. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'll get your name entered into the next draw that we have for different fly tying materials, some stickers, as well as some of the flies that we tie here on the channel. Let's have a look at the material list and we'll get started. Okay, so let's get a fresh hook into the vise and put a bead on this Firehole 633 already. And for beads, we're either going to be using a brass, as we've got on the hook here, or we'll put on a tungsten bead. And today we've got a 3.2 millimeter on this size 12. And typically kind of keep it in around the same range that I would for a nymph. You can go a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, depending on how much weight you need. We're going to be using a 210 denier flat wax nylon. This is the Danville flat wax nylon. We'll just start with a base layer of thread. We'll go back to the bend and then back up behind the eye. And the main thing is we're tying this, we just want to make sure that we don't cut through the material here. We're going to add a ribbing for this squirmy. This is a little bit different than most of the squirmies out there. Make sure you cut that wire with the scallop of your scissors so you're not dulling the blades. And this adds just a little bit of segmentation to the clatella of the pattern. So we'll just go ahead and we'll wrap that along the side. I like to stick the sharp end of that just in behind the bead. It kind of hides it out of the way. You're not going to cut your line or your thread. Just secure that with wraps down and back. Now we're going to take our squirmy material and we want to just kind of stretch this out a little bit and give it a couple wraps. We don't want to go super tight on this. We're just going to pull that as we wrap down to the bend of the hook, and then we'll come back up. Once you got that base layer of thread, you can go ahead and add a few tighter wraps, but you don't want to go too tight here. Just going to add a little bit of Loon water-based cement here. You don't want to use something like a Sally Hansen's, as that'll melt right through the squirmy material. And you also want to be careful not to use a UV resin, as the heat from that can also melt it. We're going to use a little bit of ice dub in caddis green for our green squirmy. And I also use things like Antron or laser dubbing for this. We'll go ahead and we'll dub that onto our thread. You don't want too heavy of a dubbing noodle here. You just want to make sure you twist that on somewhat loosely. If some of the fibers get pulled out, I don't mind that so much. And again, we're going to be ribbing this fly, so the fibers, they'll get a little bit shaggy, but they'll still be secured with the thread and the counter ribbed wire. Just go ahead and we'll dub that on down to the bend of the hook and then just back up in behind the eye. We'll add a half hitch in there just to make sure that we don't knock that thread off as we wind up our wire. Give that a snug. Now we're going to take our wire here and we'll just wrap that up. Don't need too many wraps. I like this extra heavy wire. Just kind of gives nice, really prominent segmentation on this worm fly. We'll give that a few wraps. Make sure you go in behind the wire and in front of it so that it's locked in place. And then we'll pull that thread down and pull the wire up. And we'll give that a few twists to helicopter it off. And once we got that done, we'll go ahead and we're going to add our whip finish to this fly. If you want a little bit extra contrast, you can also use a brighter thread here if you want to use like a red or an orange or hot pink. Give the fly a little bit of some contrast and a hot spot. I think that's pretty cool. You can go ahead and do that. Just trim up a few of those extra long fibers. And last thing for this fly, we want to just go ahead and trim that tail a little bit. And with these squirmy segments, you have enough for 2, possibly 3 flies for each of these segments. Hey fly tyers, thanks for stopping by and checking out my fly tying videos. If you enjoyed the video and want to show your support, hit the thumbs up and share it to your social networks. I hope you consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, be sure to hit the bell icon to get notifications on my latest fly patterns, tips, and reviews. If you have a question or comment, leave a message below. You'll also be entered into the next draw for some of the flies I tie and a few stickers. Until next time, this is Darren saying, keep a hook in your vise. Cheers.